So everybody in the whole wide world has got this deal where they want to pull this hanger down away from the eye on these Hackamore horses. And let me actually adjust this to where I would ride this horse. A lot of people think it inhibits their vision. It doesn't inhibit their vision at all. You don't have to worry about that. But if you're a conscientious rider and you leave these little hair whiskers right here, you don't want it up there touching those hair whiskers. Yeah. So I've seen a variety of different ways of doing this, different ways to tie it. Some people have a little string on the off side here that they, you're all right, that they then pull around under the throat latch and tie it and pull it down. Any of those deals work. This is how I do it. And shoot, I figured this out looking at Will James pictures. So first of all, you want your hanger laying right across. There's a gap between the atlas and the axis, which is the first and second vertebra. There's a gap right there, and that's what pole pressure is. That's where you get your pole pressure, stuff pushing on that gap. And it's about an inch behind their pole lump. They got this little lump right betwixt their ears. It's about an inch back there, and you can feel of it, and you'll know when you get it because they'll give to it. And so that's where you want your hanger setting. So I use this brow band and I figure out where that gap is, and I've got my first holes in my brow band where it's lined up with that gap. And then I've got another set of holes 1 inch back, and that's where my Feodor ties. And this works even if you don't use a Feodor, but you'll see now when I adjust this Feodor, see how far it pulled it down? It was up there. When I adjust it, it pulls that down. That's all the farther you need it down right there. And then you tie your Feodor off. And like I said, you don't need to have a Feodor if you don't use one. You can do this the exact same way and then just take a piece of string and run it under there and tie it like a throat latch. And that'll pull it down off their eye just as far as it needs to be, and then you don't have to do anything more complicated. I don't know if you were showing a horse, if you'd really want to do this. I don't think judges would like this, but this is just an old worn out piece of latigo, and since I'm Scotch, I like things to have 2 lives. So I reuse them for these brow bands for my Hackamores. All mine have them, but you could get this all tooled up and fancy if you wanted. And I'm going to show right quick when I go to make one, especially if it's specific to a horse. I take my brow or my latigo here, and I lay it across their head. And of course, I wouldn't have a Hackamore on, but I lay it across their head when I want it, where I want it, and I find right where I want that hanger to lay on the pole. Here's the lunch wagon. Mark that with my thumbnail. Go around to the other side. Keep that where I want it. Go around the other side, find where I want it. Mark it with my thumbnail. So now I've got it. Got a thumbnail mark here and a thumbnail mark here. And see, I've got plenty of space back here to put my others. So I'll put my notches this way, then an inch back I'll put the other side. Same with this. Put my notches and then an inch back. If you want it to stay with me. Oh, scary. If you want that to pull down even farther, you can just leave more of an ear on this and put your, whether it's your Feodor or just a throat latch string, you can put it back even farther and that'll pull it down even more. And so I'll take this home and I'll cut the rest of it and show you how I do the cuts on it. Some of y'all remember that sound when you were in trouble. All right, so we did our thing. That's been a couple days have gone by. Took this old latigo and it needs another job. So I'm showing how I make a brow band, the way I make a brow band on a Hackamore that pulls the hanger down away from the corner of the horse's eye. Put it on the horse's head, and this is measuring for that horse. So it'll fit horses with, he's got a big head. So this will fit larger headed horses. I've got a whole pile of these hanging around. If I've got a smaller headed horse, I've kind of got them categorized, but most of y'all don't ride as many horses as I do. But anyway, we measured out. That was the first part of the video. Then I got to find my little tick mark wherever I put it. Right there. So then we get out old trusty here. And like I said in the earlier part of the video, you can have these done, you could have this done real fancy, have a fancy brow band. I'm just Scotch, so I use a latigo in my pocket knife. Okay, this part, and I didn't do a very pretty job here. This part here where I make it, these ends pointy like this, this is not an integral part of how the whole operation works. You could leave it square. That's just the way I do it because I like it that way. So, from the square end, there I measure 1 inch, which is my thumb. That's close to 1 inch. Probably gonna get my head in the way of the camera here. There's leather working guys watching this video. They're just cringing, but that's fine. So I made one little slit there. I'll make a second one here. Okay, so there's one set of slits, like so. And that's where my throat latch is going to go through. So then I go 1 inch, and you can see that the hole is kind of in the way here. It's not a big deal. I'll just put it either side of the hole. And I will make a second set of slits. There's my second set. Do the same thing on the other side. Go 1 inch. And you can see in this whole process how very, very precise and scientific I am, using the most up-to-date cutting-edge tools. Okay, so there I've got my second set of slits on both sides. They're all the slits I need. And I've got the Hackamore. Now this part, this is something that does kind of matter. This is the hair side of the latigo. This is the flesh side. It's a little probably hard to tell in the camera, but this would have been the rough outside of the leather, and this would have been the oil tan side. Anytime I'm doing anything with my head stalls and everything else, my hangers, this hanger's probably khaki wampus. No, I got it right. I try to put the oil tan side against the horse and the rough outside against the atmosphere. That oil tan, the sweat and hair and everything from the horse's body is a lot more caustic than what the environment's going to be. And so I want to put that oil tan side, which is tougher and more protective of the leather against the horse rather than the rough out side. Doesn't look as pretty, and if you have one of these made at a saddle shop and have your brand on it and a bucking horse and a girl riding a tiger or whatever the hell you have on there, they're going to do it the other way around, and that's fine. But this is just something I do that just makes things last just a little bit longer. I went through all that, and I'll do this backwards now. So this is the not fun part. Usually I've got a pair of hemostats.
I do this with, but I don't have them with me, so my pen works. So I run that under.
So I've got it under on this side. I want to make sure I do it the same way on the other side. Drop my pen. Oh, you rotten son of a gun. Okay, I'm going to come up here with it. Tie our hanger back together. It's weird. You're never self-conscious about how you tie a knot until you got a camera on you. So, get that all kind of straightened out here. That's an awful big-headed horse there. But, there's how I've got that brow band. And then my throat latch, which is just any old piece of string, I'll run through these notches, or these little slits I made in the back here, but instead of running, I've got my hanger running under them, my throat latch I'll run over them. So the hanger under, the throat latch over, and in that way when you pull that throat latch tight up under their jaw, it pulls this and it pulls your hanger down away from their eye if you've got everything adjusted right. Like I said, that's adjusted for a draft horse, but when you pull that throat latch tight, it's going to pull this down away from their eye. And that's how I do it. There's 1.5 million ways to do it. That's why I do it. If you don't like these ears sticking out, you can lob them off. I just think it looks cool because it looks like Will James did it, so that's how I do it. So the boss said my over-under stuff, it sounded like nonsense, so I just cut a little piece of string and ran it through there real quick. And so this is what I mean. The hanger runs underneath my 2 notches there in the brow band. The throat latch runs over. You could probably do it either way. That's just the way I always do it. And it's this part right here, by having that distance between the two, that inch between the two. That's why when I pull this tight under their jaw, it pulls the hanger away from their eye. So that's how I do it. I like the way it hangs that way. The Hackamore hangs on their face real nice. Pulls the hanger just a little bit away from their eye. Everything hangs. I'm showing how flat it hangs. It's hanging crooked, but I'm holding it crooked. But it just hangs real even, hangs real nice this way. So that's how I do that. Adios.